good afternoon, or evening, or whatever the hell it is. I, Do what? Oh, man. The, typical cough to start the show. I mean, I didn't do anything to encourage it or nothing. I promise. Anywho, hey, I'm trying to lighten up because I'm freaked out, man. Because there's a balloon above us, and I don't know. I don't want to know what hit me. So yeah, there is a most definitely supposedly a spy balloon that is flittering around up there right now above Arkansas, if I'm not mistaken. I can bring you on over to here, and I'm going to click the old refresher-oo, and then what I'm going to do is right there gives me some filters, and this puppy's flying at about 63,000 feet in the air. So let's take this puppy up above, I don't know, a little over 50,000 feet. And, well, looky there, that just cleaned up the board a whole lot. And what do we have here? Project Loon 617 is what it's called. It's moving at 120 mile per hour at 62,700 feet. And flittering along above the United States. Now, I'm joking and I'm making fun of this, but this is actually, in my opinion, a pretty big concern. Especially about now. Because if that thing were some type of electromagnetic pulse device, probably be somewhere about good to push that button. Just saying. I don't think that is what we're looking at, but I don't know what it is we're looking at. They say it's about the size, I think I saw, of 3 buses. That's like not tiny, yo. And it has obviously something hanging from it. Looks like it's probably got solar panels on it. And it was apparently, it apparently flew over an area where we have a rather large field of silos, missile silos. And so, not good. And do I think, as far as if this is just surveillance, is that we're doomed? No. It's just an overflight. Believe me, anything that is really good is underground. So the chances of you flying over and them doing something on the outside that would be, noticeable, not likely to happen. They've got so many sites across this nation, and like I said, a lot of them are underground. They've got a lot of underground stuff. So, I'm not real sure. I think probably at most, they're just trying to gauge our readiness, gauge, I don't know, our assertiveness, I guess. I think they're basically just seeing how we're going to react, what we'll do. And apparently, oops, we're just going to let it fly over because that's cool. Yeah, I don't know. But like I said, right now would be a fairly good time. I mean, any time from probably the last 400 or 500 miles that it's traveled would have been a good time. So, just all we can do is keep our eye on it. I do have an article that talks about it in much more detail than what I can remember off the top of my head. Because, you know what? I am not that freaked out. Apparently, they scrambled a couple F-22s. I don't know if that's going to be in the article or not. I don't know a whole lot of detail, like I said, so I'll just wait and I'll read the article. Let me have a sip of coffee first, though. Alright, if you hadn't seen, this is the image that we're getting. I'm not sure. And then, well, yeah. He looks stern, doesn't he? Very stern. Apparently this here is U.S. Air Force Airman First Class Jackson Ligon. I guess he's working on a missile or something like that. However, this is the balloon. Let me close that out, and we'll see what they have to say. It says the U.S. is tracking a suspected Chinese surveillance balloon that has been spotted over U.S. airspace for a couple of days. It's not like this just showed up in the last hour. But the Pentagon decided not to shoot it down due to risks of harm for people on the ground, officials said Thursday. The discovery of the balloon puts a further strain on U.S.-China relations at a time of heightened tension. So, hey, listen up. Authors, scriptwriters, here you go. Right? So the big SHTF's a pandemic, and the way that it's caused is because, say, a country like China puts a balloon up over that nation, makes it seem like it's probably surveillance or something like that, but it's not. Inside the quote-unquote surveillance device is a vial of something that once it gets broken, after we shoot it down and it falls onto the, wherever it falls into the U.S., it releases a virus that wipes out America. I don't know. It's a good plot line, right? I don't know. But I honestly, doesn't make sense why they really wouldn't want to shoot it down. But anyway, a senior defense official told Pentagon reporters that the U.S. has very high confidence in its Chinese high-altitude balloon, and it was flying over sensitive sites to collect information. One of the places the balloon was spotted was Montana, which is home to one of the nation's 3 nuclear missile silo fields at Malmstrom Air Force Base. The official spoke on condition of anonymity to discuss sensitive information. Brigadier General Patrick Ryder, Pentagon press secretary, provided a brief statement on the issue, saying the government continues to track the balloon. He said it is currently traveling at an altitude well above commercial air traffic and does not present a military or physical threat to the people on the ground. He said similar balloon activity has been seen in the past several years. He added that the U.S. took steps to ensure it did not collect sensitive information. I wonder if they poked its eye out. The defense official said the U.S. has engaged Chinese officials through multiple channels and communicated the seriousness of the matter. The incident comes as Secretary of State Antony Blinken was supposed to make his first trip to Beijing, expected this weekend, to try to find some common ground Although the trip has not been formally announced, both Beijing and Washington have been talking about his imminent arrival. It was not immediately clear if the discovery of the balloon would impact Blinken's travel plans. The senior defense, and by the way, I believe the last time that Blinken was in the same room with these folks, he got schooled pretty much. If I'm not mistaken, it happened up in Alaska. Anywho, the senior defense official said the U.S. did get fighter jets, including F-22s, ready to shoot down the balloon if ordered to by the White House. The Pentagon ultimately recommended against it, noting that even as the balloon was over a sparsely populated area of Montana, its size would create a debris field large enough that it could have put people at risk. It was not clear what the military was doing to prevent it from collecting sensitive information or what will happen with the balloon if it isn't shot down. The defense official said the spy balloon was trying to fly over the Montana missile fields, but the U.S. has assessed that the balloon has limited value in terms of providing China intelligence it couldn't already collect by other means, such through spy satellites. The official would not specify the size of the balloon, but said it was large enough that despite its high altitude, commercial pilots could see it. All air traffic was halted at Montana Billings Logan International Airport from 1:30 p.m. to 3:30 p.m. Wednesday, as military provided options to the White House. A photograph of a large white balloon lingering over the area was captured by the Billings Gazette, but the Pentagon would not confirm if that was a surveillance balloon. The balloon could be seen drifting in and out of clouds and had what appeared to be a solar array hanging from the bottom, said Gazette photographer Larry Mayer. The defense officials said what concerned them about this launch was the altitude the balloon was flying at and the length of time it lingered over a location without providing specifics. Montana Governor Greg Gianforte, I'm not sure how that's pronounced, said he was briefed Wednesday about the situation after the Montana National Guard was notified of an ongoing military operation taking place in Montana airspace, according to a statement from the Republican governor and spokesperson Brooke Stroik. From the spy balloon to the Chinese Communist Party spying on Americans through TikTok to CCP-linked companies buying American farmland, I'm deeply troubled by the constant stream of alarming developments for our national security, Gianforte said in a statement. Tensions with China are particularly high on numerous issues ranging from Taiwan and the South China Sea to human rights in China's western Xinjiang region and the clampdown on democracy activists in Hong Kong. Not least on that list of irritants are China's tacit support for Russia's invasion of Ukraine and its refusal to rein in North Korea's expanding ballistic missile program and ongoing disputes over trade and technology. And then it goes on talking about stuff with Taiwan and them scrambling fighter jets but it won't take long. It'll be over us and done. I don't think it's going to be anything big. And the United States may have most certainly, and I'm sure they have, hit it with a few directed energy weapons by now. And I'm sure anything that was electronic in it is now just a bunch of components melted into a goo. No, not actually, but I'm sure that they've fired something at it to disable it. I'm sure. Let's see. I'm looking up at the chat. Yeah. Like I say, I'm not too concerned about it. However, the situation is... Man. and situation as a whole, when it comes to China, yeah, I am getting increasingly concerned about that situation as well. It's certainly not on a path to get better. So let me have a couple sips here, and I'll show you what I mean. Oh, thank goodness it's my Friday. Still haven't heard anything about our goodies yet from EcoFlow, so kind of bummed me out. I was hoping once again I would wake up to an email, but nope. U.S. set to boost military presence near China. This here says the U.S. military will be deployed to 4 new bases in strategic areas of the Philippines, the two countries announced on Thursday. The agreement was reached during the ongoing visit of U.S. Defense Secretary Lloyd Austin, who met Philippine President Ferdinand Bongbong Marcos Jr. in Manila. Now it's Bongbong? Do we really got to call him Bongbong? Bong, 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 bong. Anyway, the two nations are set to accelerate the full implementation of the Enhanced Defense Cooperation Agreement, or the EDCA, or the EDCA. We'll call it the EDCA, a framework regulating the deployment of U.S. troops to the Philippines, which is listed among Washington's major non-NATO allies. The United States has allocated over $82 million toward infrastructure investments at the existing 5 sites under the EDCA, and is proud that these investments are supporting economic growth and job creation in local Philippine communities, the Pentagon said in a statement. Yeah, too damn bad they can't help do that for Americans. Let's see. Apart from further development of the existing bases, the U.S. military would be deployed to 4 new sites in unspecified strategic areas of the country. Well, why don't you tell us where? Give us GPS coordinates. Biden would do it. He would leave them on a piece of paper in the bathroom of the gas station. Let's see. United States and the Philippines have committed to moving quickly and agreeing to the necessary plans and investments for the new and existing EDCA locations. The Philippine-U.S. alliance has stood the test of time and remains ironclad. I'm confident now. We look forward to the opportunities to blow the hell out of the Chinese. Oh, wait, no, it didn't say that. Hang on. We look forward to the opportunities these new sites will create to expand our cooperation together, the Pentagon added. A little bit different than the way I was playing it out. The move comes amid mounting tensions in the region, namely around Taiwan and the South China Sea, a busy waterway subject to overlapping maritime and territorial claims by multiple nations, including China. Blah, 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 blah. Anyway, yeah. And we're like doing stuff everywhere. We got what? The Philippines, clearly. Australia, right? South Korea. We have been gradually building up our forces in these places. They've been talking about it over the years, and it's been kind of a slow, gradual buildup. In the Philippines, like that article stated, there was improvements made to facilities over there so that we could store a bunch more stuff. And in fact, it was rumored that there might be something a little nookie that would be stored there. So I don't obviously know for certain, but that was rumored. That's been a while back. I mean, that's been a good while back. Hell, Trump might have been president when that was, in fact, I'm pretty positive Trump was president when that was a thing. So, hell, Trump was probably the one that signed the papers to do it. Let's see. Russia outlines response if Ukraine gets longer range weapons. They're just laying it right out. Pretty much what I was saying they would likely do. It says here Ukrainian forces will be pushed further back from Russian territories in response to the West's decision to provide Kiev with longer range weapons, Foreign Minister Sergei Lavrov has claimed. Ukraine's foreign sponsors are getting more bogged down in the conflict with every step, he told the media on Thursday, and Russia will react accordingly. Now our goal is to push the artillery of the Ukrainian armed forces back to a distance where they would not create a threat to our territories. The longer range the weapons supplied to the Kiev regime have, the further the troops will need to be moved, Lavrov stated. The Pentagon's next package of military assistance to Ukraine will reportedly include ground-launched small-diameter bombs, or GLSDBs, munitions for rocket artillery, and munitions that have a range of 150 kilometers or 94 miles. Kiev has long been lobbying donors to provide weapons with greater capabilities, such as MGM-140 ATACMs, ballistic missiles, whatever the hell, which can strike targets up to 300 kilometers or 190 miles away. The approach described by the Russian foreign minister will apply to territories that Ukraine considers to be its own, including Crimea, the Donetsk and Lugansk People's Republics, as well as Kherson and Zaporozhye, I guess that's Zai, regions. Crimea and the city of Sevastopol joined Russia in 2014. Oh, this just goes into the history. So, anyway, pretty much what I would figure. But I, to be honest, I don't think it's going to be much longer before Putin really puts the hurting all the way across the country. I really think that that's coming up. In fact, well, there's talk, from my understanding. I don't know if it's in. I don't think it's any of the headlines I have up. But I believe there's talk that he's getting to really, really unleash something. I forget what it was they were saying they were doing in preparation, but they were more or less making preparations for one hell of a hit. Russia was. So we'll see. I would expect it's probably coming because it's been kind of tit for tat, and it's been on tit, and I've been waiting on Russia to tat. So that's pretty much where we're at. Let's see. Psychedelic churches. I don't know. It's some notification from AP. That's what I ought to do. We ought to have a big psychedelic church. How's that sound? That would be interesting. The stories would be fun, wouldn't they? Anyway, Putin issues warning to West at Stalingrad event. Russian President Vladimir Putin has hit out at the looming deliveries of the Western-made tanks to Ukraine, warning that Moscow's response to the threat will span far beyond armored vehicles. The Russian leader made the comments during a ceremony to mark the 80th anniversary of victory at the Battle of Stalingrad. Unbelievable, but true. We are once again threatened with German Leopard tanks with crosses on their hull, and once again seeking to battle Russia in Ukraine with the help of Hitler's followers, the Banderites, Putin said. I don't know if it's pronounced that way or not. Those seeking to defeat Russia on the battlefield apparently do not realize that a modern war with Russia would be entirely different for them. We're not sending our tanks to their borders. Yet we have something to respond with, and it would not be limited to armor use only. Everyone must realize that, he added. And then it goes into what's been promised to be sent to them and all that good stuff. But he's pretty much saying it. right then and there that he is going to increase the ferocity, if you will, of his weapons. That's the way I take it. I'm not saying he's necessarily saying, "Oh, we're going to nuke you," but he's got bigger bombs. They haven't been using anything too crazy, so. White House, and I've been saying this for a long time. Now it's coming out in news, so who knows? But I've been saying this for a long time, and I think that there's been a lot of wheeling and dealing when it comes to countries like Libya, Venezuela, Iran, Ukraine. I think there's a lot of countries, South American countries, South African countries, anywhere that we could put people. We've tried to one way or another profit off those people. So, kind of the way it works. President Joe Biden allegedly sent CIA Chief William Burns on a secret mission to Moscow and then Kiev in mid-January, according to a report in the New Zürcher Zeitung, the NNZ, that's what we'll call it, on Wednesday. The White House and the CIA both addressed the allegations on Thursday, saying it was not true that the U.S. had offered Russia 20% of Ukrainian territory as part of a peace proposal. According to confidential conversations with two German lawmakers dealing with foreign policy, one from the ruling coalition, the other from the opposition, Burns reportedly offered a land for peace deal in which Russia would keep some 20% of Ukraine's territory, about the size of the Donbass. The Swiss-German newspaper mentioned the supposed proposal in passing, focusing on the chain of events that led to German Chancellor Olaf Scholz and U.S. President Joe Biden announcing that they would send Leopard 2 and Abrams heavy tanks to the government in Kiev. The NZZ report is not accurate, and the CIA will say the same, Deputy Spokesperson for the White House, National Security Council, Sean Davitt, told Newsweek. A CIA official then told the U.S. outlet that reports of a secret Moscow trip by Burns or a peace proposal on behalf of the White House were completely false. So the Washington Post reported earlier that Burns had taken a secret trip to Kiev ahead of the tank announcement in order to meet and brief Ukrainian President Vladimir Zelensky. From what the two German politicians told NZZ, the peace offer hinted at a split in Washington regarding the conflict, while Burns and National Security Advisor Jake Sullivan want to wrap up the fighting in Ukraine quickly to focus on China. Secretary of State Antony Blinken and Secretary of Defense Lloyd Austin are committed to backing Kiev. So, it's just crazy. And like I said, I think it's going to get bigger. I think this one's going to get stupid. Hang on a second. Oh. Man, oh man, oh man. Fun times. Switch up gears a little bit. North Korea threatens nuke for nuke. North Korea has promised a tit-for-tat response. Hey, I didn't even see that earlier and use that talking about Russia. To any security threats from Washington and Seoul, including using its most overwhelming nuclear force. U.S. Defense Secretary Lloyd Austin visited South Korea this week with a promise to further expand joint military drills. The military and political situation in the Korean Peninsula and the region has reached an extreme red line due to the reckless military confrontational maneuvers and hostile acts of the U.S. and its vassal forces, an unnamed foreign ministry spokesperson said in a lengthy statement carried by the state-run Korean Central News Agency KCNA on Thursday. Austin visited South Korea on Tuesday to reaffirm America's ironclad commitment to providing a nuclear umbrella to its key ally. In an editorial published by Yonhap, he revealed that the Allies are expanding the scope and scale of our combined exercises, including increasingly complex scenario-based tabletop exercises focused on nuclear threats, in order to increase our interoperability and readiness to fight tonight if necessary. Now, here's the thing. A while back, and again, this, I believe, was, it might have been pre-Trump. It could have been pre-Trump. But I know there was talk of the United States putting nuclear weapons in South Korea. And China was saying, oh, hell no. Because it wasn't just the fact that they would be putting nuclear weapons in South Korea, but they would also be putting their radar equipment and stuff in South Korea. And therefore, they would, from my understanding, be able to reach with their radar, more or less be able to reach into China's territory with their radar, if I'm remembering this correctly. And that was a really touchy subject way back when, pre-COVID. That was a big deal. So we'll see what happens as this progresses along. Let me have another sip. U.S. senators issue NATO ultimatum to Turkey. I told you, I've been predicting for a while now that Turkey's probably going to get booted. A group of 25 U.S. senators from both parties has informed President Joe Biden that Congress will not approve the sale of F-16 fighters to Turkey unless Ankara stops blocking Sweden and Finland's application for NATO membership. After the U.S. kicked Turkey out of the F-35 program over Ankara's purchase of Russian-made S-400 air defense systems, the two NATO members negotiated a deal for 40 new F-16 jets and 79 modernization kits. Congress gets the final approval, however, and the Senate NATO Observer Group on Thursday let Biden know that it will require a quid pro quo to make that happen. Congress cannot consider future support for Turkey, including the sale of F-16 fighter jets, until Turkey completes ratification of the accession protocols, said the letter, signed by Democrats and Republicans alike and made public by Senator Jeanne Shaheen, I'm not sure how that's pronounced, of New Hampshire. Ankara is holding up the applications by Stockholm and Helsinki at a key moment in history, namely the Russia-Ukraine conflict, the senators noted. Senator Foreign Relations Committee Chair Bob Menendez, a New Jersey Democrat, has already voiced his opposition to F-16 sales to Turkey. He did not sign the letter. In last week's hearing before the committee, Undersecretary of State for Political Affairs Victoria Nuland said the State Department had made it clear to Turkey that Congress is likely to look far more favorably on that after ratification, referring to the F-16s. So, to me it's, I don't know. I think all this stuff is craziness. I wish that each nation could just mind their own damn business. And if, they want to do trade back and forth, that's fine, but nobody screws anybody over. That's just the way I think it should be. Instead of the stupid nation building crap and anywho, I'm moving along pretty good tonight. I've got one more tab open. Had quite a few open to begin. Like I said, I'll be glad to take a couple of days off. I'm once again gonna hope I wake up to an email. And, yeah, I don't know. A British energy giant reports highest ever profit. Now, remember yesterday, I had told you about how Exxon was talking about how good they were doing. Now Shell is talking about how good they're doing. It just blows my mind that everybody has had to pay these super high prices for energy and continue to do so. And nada. You know, one frustrating thing, and I say frustrating, hell, it's nothing for me. This has got to be absolutely maddening to the shipping industry. But the last I knew, diesel fuel had only gone down a total of 20 cents here since the price went up all to hell. Gasoline was over $5 a gallon. It's down now like $3.29 and in that range. Diesel, still like $4.69 is the cheapest I've seen. I don't know if it's any cheaper right now or not, but $4.69 was the cheapest I've seen it. So anyway, it's crazy. I don't get it. And they get away with it. Now, see, if that was happening on a lower level, meaning, you know, if gas stations were price fixing and stuff, they would get in a whole lot of trouble over that. Absolutely. So, the only ones that are allowed to pull that kind of stuff is the big companies. Anyway, I have a couple of vapes. I don't know what her problem is. Been a pretty easy show. I haven't gotten out of hand. I haven't said that many stupid jokes. I don't know. She just got an attitude, I think. Don't you, Blue? Got an attitude? She's completely ignoring me. I do think I see just a very little tip of the tail wagging, just a little bit, though. But she tries to hide it. We pick her on her all the time, so she's used to it. In fact, a lot of times, all we got to do is look at her, and she'll shoot a look back like, now what? It's awesome. Let's see. Okay, I covered that. Brexit costs UK over $124 billion annually, says analyst. Well, that much money, you might want to talk to a proctologist as well. EU nation swept by wave of bankruptcies, says Bloomberg. Iran points finger after drone strike, says media. Russian spy chief weighs in on fighting to the last Ukrainian. Lavrov identifies root of U.S.-Russia tensions. Russian industrial production withstands sanctions. Let's see. Declassified documents reveal why the U.S. snubbed Russia. That was like back in the 90s. A top EU diplomat speaks out on fighter jets for Ukraine, says media. Pentagon assess Ukrainian chances of retaking Crimea, says Politico. I don't know what the Pentagon said, but I don't see it happening, homie. EU struggles to agree price cap on Russian oil products. EU country to export diesel made from Russian oil to Ukraine. Russian foreign minister makes Ukraine comparison. India and Russia should build oil tankers, says a diplomat. They probably will. EU member kicks out Russian diplomats. Putin vows response to threats against Russia. I don't think that's the one I read. British energy giant. Oh, I did read that one. Let's see. Kremlin reacts to calls to bring back Stalingrad. Serbia outlines stance on NATO membership. Key NATO member state accuses allies of psychological warfare. Germany open to idea West behind Nord Stream sabotage, says the Times. EU urged to sanction Hollywood icon, says media. Let's see. U.S. set for more military. Actually, I read that one. Australia snubs new king. Calls of treason as Serbian parliament debates Kosovo. EU states incoming president urges unlimited aid for Ukraine. Let's see. EU sent out dress code for Ukraine trip. Well, I mean, like, dude came over here in what? Like a jogging suit? I'm just kidding, but I mean, really? So the EU has a dress code when they have to go there, right? And, you know, he could come to the U.S. looking like the guy that just got done watching TV on his couch eating Cheetos or something, you know? Let's see. That's it. Oh, there's a number one up there. There's a number one up there. It's got to go number one. Ex-president's ally unveils plot to keep him in power. Who doesn't love a good conspiracy? Anyway, that's out. Fun times. Well, I don't know what to say other than what I've been saying all along. Keep getting ready. And make sure you're crossing those T's and dotting those I's. I would be trying to wrap stuff up, you know, when it comes to projects and stuff like that. If there are items that you need to get, I would be doing my best to get on getting. Because things are going to dry up real quick. It just escalates to blows. And I think it's got a fairly good chance of it. So, and I mean that in the pretty immediate. I really do think that the Russia-Ukraine situation is going to get out of hand quick. I think there are going to be multiple issues over in that area in the Middle East. I think there's going to be possibility that you'll see a flare-up with North Korea and South Korea. And, of course, obviously, China, Taiwan. And I just honestly believe that pretty much all hell's going to break loose about the same time. Because those tensions are there. And it's kind of almost like that point in time where everybody's looking back and forth, waiting to see the first person pummel the other one, and then everybody's going to join in. That's kind of the feeling I get. Not necessarily all in the same conflict, but all in these individual situations between these nations. So, I really do think it's just a short matter of time before things get remarkably ugly. And I think the situation is going to reach out and touch us here in one way or another. I guarantee it will, as far as costs of things. We'll see a continual rise in the cost of things, a continual decline in the availability of things, and I think it's going to get rough. I've been saying that, and I don't see it changing. Not yet. If I start to see glimmers that we're going to pull out, okay, fine, and I will be more than happy to report it. But I don't smoke opium, and it's looking pretty grim. So anyway, love to leave you on such a happy note like that, but I am going to get the hell out of here and relax for a couple of days. I hope you all have a good evening. I hope you have a good weekend. God willing, I'll be back Sunday night. We'll do it again. So I hope to see you then. As always, God bless you. We love you. Be one with your spirit. And shalom.